The Marshall Emberton is back for its third generation with a longer battery, better Bluetooth connectivity and improved sound performance, making it seem like a tempting upgrade. But coming in at £149 and with so many strong options already in the market, does it have enough in the locker to compete? Let's find out. Kicking off with the design, something Marshall knows a thing or two about, for the most part, the Emberton III is almost identical to the Emberton II in appearance. It keeps all the hallmarks of Marshall's iconic design that helps it stand out from the competition and brings through some of that Marshall heritage. Plus, it's nice and compact, which makes it a great choice for chucking in your rucksack and taking on the go. Available in either classic black or cream, it's still got that tough rubber outside and a sturdy metal grille. The metal part is a bit more sunken in now, which I think looks pretty cool, but I would say if I'm being harsh, the logo on the front is a little less premium. It's not a big deal, you can't really tell the difference on its own, but you can definitely tell they've cut a little corner when comparing the new and old models side by side. There's also now this slot here for a carry strap, which is a nice addition, but they don't actually include a strap in the box, which is a bit odd. I guess it's just an excuse to get creative if you really want a strap. The only other changes from the previous version are a new dedicated power button and the mic indicator light up on the control panel here. We've still got all the same controls as the original, so that's your Bluetooth button, battery life LED indicator, and this brass control knob that does your play, pause, skip track, rewind, and volume functions. The new power button just adds some enhanced usability, making things less fiddly for users. The Emberton III's also got an IP67 rating, which means it's waterproof and is safe to be taken to the beach, the pool, and you don't need to worry about it. As always on this channel though, don't just take my word for it. Lou, over to you.
Cheers, Al. So as you can see guys, I'm outside now and we're going to start our durability test with a drop test on this concrete pavement. So there we have it guys, drop test done. There is absolutely no damage to this thing whatsoever. I'm looking it over trying to find something to mention, but other than a little bit of dirt and debris picked up from the concrete that just brushes off the rubber instantly, there is not a single mark on this thing. Now it wouldn't be a true SHS durability test if we didn't dunk it into some water, but there's absolutely no surprises that the Emberton III held up perfectly well. If I just turn it on to you guys just to prove it's still working, there you go, working absolutely perfectly. So you can have complete faith taking this one out and about with you.
Nice one, Lou. Now, a few other changes to point out for you guys then, kicking off with the battery life. Now, the Emberton II already excelled when it came to long-lasting battery performance, offering 30 hours of playback on a single charge. But this new version takes things a step further, offering an even bigger 32 hours from just 2 hours of charging. Okay, it's not a huge leap up, but even a small improvement over what was an already impressive battery life is great to see. During testing, I've been using this for a fair few hours, and to be honest, I've only lost about 20% of battery, which seems in line with Marshall's expected battery life. Obviously, volume levels and things like that will of course affect these stats, but if we're comparing this to some of the competitors out there, this even outperforms the Dali Catch G2's 30-hour battery life, which was regarded as class leading in this department, so top marks there. Plus, there's also a fast charge feature with the Emberton III, so 20 minutes of charging should give you a boost of about 6 hours if you're ever running low. While we're on the topic of battery, the Emberton III also has a really nifty feature in the Marshall Bluetooth app that helps the battery last longer. Lithium-ion batteries naturally degrade over time, so you can make a few tweaks like choosing to stop charging the speaker at 95% or when it gets too hot or too cold. You can even slow down the charging speed. New for Gen 3, they've also added a built-in microphone with this speaker, so you can actually use this as a speakerphone for your calls, a feature I know a lot of people will look for with a portable speaker. Me and Lou tried it out and it was actually pretty decent. The Emberton III does a surprisingly good job at picking your voice up from a meter or so away. It's obviously not as good as your iPhone and it picks up a little more background noise like wind and things like that, but on the whole it's a nice bit of functionality to have and definitely something I see if you have one of these in a home office, for example. When it comes to connectivity, we've got Bluetooth 5.3 and Marshall states you're going to get a range of about 100 meters from this one, which is pretty similar to what we found when we tested it out. There's also Bluetooth LE or low energy on board, which for those that don't know, along with offering a nice and solid connection, is an advanced Bluetooth technology that not only future-proofs this one moving forward, but also helps to reduce the power usage of the speaker itself, hence that increased battery life. Along with that, Marshall is also replacing their stack mode with all-new Auracast for simultaneous device linking. Now, just a heads up, this feature won't be available from launch, but depending on when you're watching this, it has been promised to arrive via an over-the-air update in the Marshall Bluetooth app very soon. You might have seen it with the new JBL Extreme 4 and Go 4, but it will also bring a share audio feature, which will mean you can broadcast your music to any other Marshall speakers that support Auracast if you want an even bigger sound. Great news if you or a couple of friends have a combination of the new Willen 2s and Emberton 3s and really want to crank up the volume. Obviously, for the time being, they're the only Marshall speakers supporting Auracast, but I'd expect this list to expand pretty quickly as and when those new models hit the market. For those wondering, I have tried pairing this one up with the Emberton 2 with no luck currently. It's worth knowing, based on the time of filming, I have got a pre-Auracast model here, so I can't say for certain it's impossible, but I'd assume if it's anything like the new Auracast enabled JBL speakers, that sort of functionality isn't going to be supported, which is a bit of a shame. Anyway, what about sound performance? Well, just like the Emberton 2, the third iteration is also a stereo speaker, and internally we've got the same dual 2-inch 10-watt full-range drivers and a pair of radiators as before. But the Emberton 3 is now powered by two 38-watt Class D amplifiers, a step up from the 10-watt ones with the Emberton 3, which should be more bass and a fuller sound profile overall. We've got what Marshall calls true stereophonic sound returning as well, which is essentially their unique form of multi-directional sound that's been designed to help the Emberton 3 deliver a more immersive 360-degree listening experience. They've also introduced something called dynamic loudness, which according to Marshall automatically adjusts the tonal balance of the speaker as you change the volume, basically ensuring consistent sound quality regardless of the volume level you're listening at. Now, specs and marketing jargon will only tell you half the story, so before I give you guys my thoughts, let me give you a quick listen so you can hear it for yourself. As always guys, what you're hearing over YouTube might not be exactly what I'm hearing here in the studio, but it should give you a good idea of what you can expect from this one. Right, hopefully you enjoyed that one. For me, the first thing I noticed is how loud this speaker can go. Marshall are renowned for producing speakers with a warm and balanced sound profile, and while this one is no different with that classic Marshall sound, it really excels when the volume's ramped up. I did a lot of my testing at 50 to 60% volume because I think that's where the majority of people will do day-to-day listening, but for those of you who like to listen loud, the amount of power you can get from such a small unit is actually very impressive, and I think it will be hard to beat by units of a similar size. The vocals were crisp and clear even at higher volumes, cutting through the instrumentals with ease, and the bass is a noticeable upgrade from the Emberton 2. It's more punchy, tighter, and adds a nice depth to the sound, so it seems like those internal tweaks have definitely paid off. If I'm nitpicking, I'd probably say there wasn't quite as much rumble in the bass as you get with some other portables out there, like the Flip 6 for example, but the bass felt cleaner and tighter for me, and as I mentioned, it only got better as you increase the volume, without showing any signs of clipping. Just like I found when testing the bigger brother, the Middleton, I like the true stereophonic soundstage. It definitely helps to create a more immersive listening experience than some of the mono options in this category, and I thought the directionality of the sound was actually really impressive. Tracks with a wide stereo mix were a particular standout for this. My biggest pet peeve with this one comes when you're looking to tweak the audio performance. Now, I'm a set and forget kind of guy, so it's not the biggest deal in the world for me, but the Marshall Bluetooth app just isn't the best when it comes to sound personalization. Don't get me wrong, it's got a nice and responsive UI and all of the essentials are there, but there's no full EQ to play around with. Instead, you've got 3 EQ presets to choose from: push, voice, and Marshall. Having used all 3 of them, although they do exactly what they say on the tin, push boosts the bass and treble, while voice enhances the vocals and mid-range, this tends to be at the detriment of the other. In my opinion, this speaker sounds best straight out of the box, and you're much better served keeping this one in standard Marshall mode and using it that way. I think for me, the Emberton 3 follows a pretty similar blueprint to its predecessor. It excels when it comes to battery life, and it's still a no-brainer if you're the type of person who values both style and sound performance in equal parts. The improvements in battery life and usability are all nice pluses, and there's definitely been a noticeable improvement in the sound performance, and I'd probably go as far to say the jump from the second to the third version was actually bigger than the first to the second, which is always good news. The only real sticky point that I see will be the price. We've reviewed enough Marshall speakers collectors by now to know, you are paying a bit of a premium for the styling and the Marshall heritage, which for the right person will be worth it. But it's also just worth noting that you can get something like the JBL Flip 6 for around the £90 to £100 mark nowadays, or maybe even the Charge 5 for only £20 more than this one, and that definitely has more oomph about it. Does that mean you shouldn't take a look at this though? Absolutely not. I personally think this is a better overall package than the Flip 6, and I don't think it's outlandishly priced for what you get in return. There's other options out there like the Sonos Roam 2 or the Bose SoundLink Flex, which are equally pricey, and although both of those offer certain strengths, if we're talking solely sound performance, this one pushes them pretty close. But for me, the Emberton 3 has taken a great portable speaker, made some tweaks, and for the right person will be a compelling option. If you're looking for out-and-out portability, JBL might be your best bet. And if you've already got an Emberton 2 at home, I don't think you need to rush out of the door and get this one, although I do think you'll be happy if you did. But if you're after a new portable that offers a solid balance of design, sound performance, durability, battery, and some good extra features, this is definitely worth a place on your shortlist. Anyway, over to you guys then. Let me know your thoughts on the Marshall Emberton 3 down in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you all in the next video.